Hello, everybody. Hello, so good to see you all. Welcome to what is today? Thursday. Welcome to Thursday. So I guess this is day 4 of our New Year, New Friends week 2, as we are meeting a whole bunch of new folks here in the Daily Antidote of Song, day 648. Woo! Completely crazy. And I'm super happy today to be introducing everybody in the room to a new artist, generally coming in from Texas and today coming in from Vermont. BettySoo, and we'll talk more about Betty in a little bit. I want to say hi to everybody out there on Facebook Live. Thanks so much for joining us today. And hi to everybody in the room. Hi, Katie. Thank you for running the tech today. Hello, Betty, of course, for being here today and singing with us. Hi, Annette in California. Hi, Mabel in Mass. Brian in Maryland. Hello, Aloysius in Mass. Deli in Maryland. Hi, Jeannie in Connecticut. And Dan in Vienna, Virginia. Hi, Simke in Maryland. Sheila in Florida. Hello to Curly Tops 1 and 2 in Vermont, and maybe 3 and 4 are lurking in the background or in another square. Hi, Kathy in Virginia. Great to see you. Susan in Ohio. Arlene in Berkeley today with a kangaroo. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Hi, Shari in New Hampshire. Hello, Al, already playing on guitar. Hello to Lisa in Michigan. Great to see you again. Day 2 back in the room, and happy birthday from yesterday. Hello to Sarah in Texas. Great to see you. And hello to Jamie in Victoria, Susan in Seattle, Amanda and Miles in Michigan, or at least the Amanda half. Hi, Bob in Tucson. Hello to Lady Carolyn in Boise, complete with fairy doll and crown-like object. Hi to Gary in Mass, Bonnie in Boise. Hello to Ruth in Birmingham, England, Susan in North Carolina, Luda in Victoria, Barb in Virginia, Kathleen in Albuquerque, Ralph and Penny in Victoria. Let's all take a deep breath. Steve and Michelle in Maryland, Sandy in North Carolina, Jim in New York City. Hi, Jane in Texas. Hello, Nancy's Irish cow, maybe there on the screen somewhere, coming in from Washington State. Hello to Lynn and Cliff in Vermont. Hi to Caroline in D.C. Joni, great to have you with us today. Bob in Maryland. No, Bob's in Mass. Jaden in Maryland. Hello. Jim Harkless in the house, coming in from Maryland. Great to see you, Jim. Always love when you're here. Busy Graham, Carpe Diem Arts, coming in from Maryland. Nice to see you. Anne in Knoxville. Phil in Totnes, England. Let's take another breath just for the heck of it. Whew. Hello, all 67 lovelies of you lovelies. Deborah in Kentucky, Fred in Maryland, Martha in Oregon, Becky in British Columbia, Beverly, hello, nice to have you with us today. Maybe new, I'm not sure, good to have you. And Jean Carr, hello, maybe coming in from Pittsburgh. Julie in Ontario, hello. And Jane and Sandy and folks off camera. Nancy, hi, Mommy in New Jersey. Sarah, Lynn in Connecticut. Jane in Maryland. Joni and Kat in Vermont. Loriana, Kachina, and Courtney in Vermont. Adrian, maybe new to us today. Paulette, possibly new to us today. Storm, Anna in Maine. Judith, and I think I got everybody. Let's take one more deep breath just for the heck of it. After that deep breath, I don't have to keep babbling on. There's actually a moment where I take a breath and I don't talk. I do have the capacity to not talk. Watch. Okay, that was good. So I'm really, really excited today to have with us BettySoo. She is a second generation Korean from Texas. And she is an Americana folk rock songwriter, artist, and amazingness. And I've been listening to her stuff online and really enjoying it. And I'm super glad she was able to join us today. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Betty so she can teach her chorus and sing her song. And we'll chat more with Betty afterwards. Betty, welcome. So glad you are here.
Thank you. So glad to be here. It's so exciting to see so many folks from Vermont. Even though I live in Austin, my sweetheart lives in Bellows Falls. So I actually spend a lot of time up here in Vermont. And it's a beautiful place to be, even in the winter. I mean, it's still beautiful in winter, but I spend a lot of time next to the wood stove. So I brought a song today called If Ever You Need, which is not recorded anywhere yet, but I wrote this for a friend who, actually back in the days when we used to tour all the time, and who we never saw each other because we were always like, one of us would be home and the other person would be on tour, and we just missed each other. And one day she called me and she was like, oh, I didn't want to bother you. You're on tour, and I was like, you're never bothering me. You can always reach out to me. So, I'll sing this chorus for you and see if you guys catch on to it, and then you can give me like a thumbs up if you think you pretty much got it, or give me like a thumbs down if we need to do it again, okay? I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. I'll come running. Don't think 'cause you can't see me I am ever beyond your reach. I'll come running if ever you need. Okay, what do y'all think? I'm gonna pop you back into gallery so I can see. Are there thumbs up? You guys mostly got it, you think? Or I'm seeing kind of half and half. So let's do the chorus one more time and then we'll do the song. Okay. I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. I'll come running. Don't think 'cause you can't see me I am ever beyond your reach. I'll come running if ever you need. All right, I saw a lot of mouths moving along. That was really good. Okay, do I just jump right back into the song now? I can't remember. Okay, good. Brightest day fades tonight, noon passes to evening light, and rivers give their yield to the sea. Winter sends birds in flight, silhouettes filling up the sky as far as naked eye can see. Well, I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. I'll come running. Don't think 'cause you can't see me I am ever beyond your reach. I'll come running if ever you need. No such thing as a wasted tear, no hearts don't think that clear. It's not a fool's errand to mourn love. Maybe you've had a hard year. Maybe you feel like nobody hears the dreams you now feel unworthy of. I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. I'll come running. Don't think 'cause you can't see me I am ever beyond your reach. I'll come running if ever you need. It's easy when times get hard to lose hope and be on your guard, but you'll always have someone on your side in me. And I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. I'll come running. Don't think 'cause you can't see me I am ever beyond your reach. I'll come running if ever you need. All right. I was looking for my little finger puppets since I saw so many of them out there. I always have some. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Betty. I love it. Okay, bringing along your finger puppet as if we didn't already know you are the perfect fit for the Daily Antidote. You could, yeah. All right, hang on. I got to spotlight you so everybody can see them. There we go.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
they're so cute. I love it. That's perfect. Thank you so much. What a great song. Absolutely loved that. And
Oh, thank you.
excited to talk to you about a million things. And so Betty and I were talking before, and I mentioned the fact that on her website, there's a quote from her where she notes that if she were from German American heritage, that she might not get the question of how did you get into this music as often. And so I told her we actually ask that question all the time, but we're going to skip that question today and we're going to move on to a different one, which is so can you tell us a little bit about your sort of folk music and rock music influences? Who did you
Yeah,
love?
of course. Well, I grew up in Spring, Texas, which is just outside of Houston, and I Lyle Lovett was kind of our hometown hero, and I am still a gigantic Lyle Lovett fan. I think there was a point in like the early 2000s or something where I figured out that I knew almost every Lyle Lovett lyric to that point, which was a little bit crazy, but a little bit fanatical, but I am a big Lyle Lovett fan. I and because of him and because of artists like Nancy Griffith, I through through them covering so many other songwriters, as a young person, as a young teenager, I got to know so much more of the singer-songwriter genre and these great writers because of them. So I'm kind of forever grateful to both of them for that. And and really, I think before I ever dreamed of even becoming a songwriter, it it created this space in my mind, where I never had this idea that songwriters are only supposed to sing their own songs. And I think there are a lot of my songwriter friends who really don't like to sing other people's songs, and they've got their own reasons for that. But because these two kind of formative artists for me did such a great job of performing other people's songs, that became to me a very normal thing. But I did listen to a lot of rock growing up, of course, the Stones and bands like that. But I think one of my early obsessions was the Sundays, and I still love their music. And of course, anything that David Byrne has worked on, I pretty much love, and David Bowie too. And there's so much great. Sorry, I'm distracted because there's an enormous chainsaw running right outside my window. But but yeah, I mean, I tend to listen to a ton of Paul Simon. He's kind of one of those artists that I can put on when I need something in the background, but then I always end up like weeping. There's like I'm like, oh, I'm going to work on accounting today. I'm just going to, open up QuickBooks and sync my brain into spreadsheets, and I'll put on Paul Simon because then I won't have to think about it too much because it's so familiar. And then like half an hour later, I'm like bawling because some song like Darling Lorraine will come on, and I'm like, just he's such a powerful writer.
He is a very powerful writer, and actually, one of the things that I was thinking about when you were saying David Byrne is how much influence he had, not just his own music, but the record label, the Luaka Bop. I'm not actually sure even how to say it, and all of the world music and all of those folks that he brought much more to the spotlight. And I know a lot of folks, at least my age, came into a lot of it through his record label. It was so many journeys into so many worlds of music that we hadn't come into yet, and so. That's really cool that he is amongst your many influences. How about instruments? What can you tell me about what you play besides the guitar?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a very musical family, so we were all taking piano lessons from the time that we were probably about 4 or 5 years old, and then I think when I was around 9 or so, I started to play the violin for a few years, and I really loved playing the violin, and I still wish I hadn't had to quit, but my teacher moved to another neighborhood when I turned 11, and my mom was like, I'm driving around 4 kids to too many things, and I cannot drive you to one more thing that's further away. So had to drop the violin at that point. But then I played oboe for a while. I played flute. I still play flute, but in private because it's like a guilty pleasure, I think. And then I play guitar. I picked that up in college, really. And then I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so, somebody gave me an old accordion that they found in their, I think their great aunt's attic when she passed away. And they were like, we don't know what to do with this. Do you want to, hang on to it for a little while? And I was like, oh, sure, whatever. I'll experiment with it. And then I fell in love with the accordion. And so I've been playing that a bit for a number of years now, but
That's awesome. That's so cool. So actually, we're going to need to have you come back with an accordion song at some point. Because we all love the accordion in here. It is super challenging to balance the accordion in Zoom settings. It's kind of hard to
it's way
have
too
it. Yeah.
loud. It's
Yeah.
so loud.
Yeah, but we can play around it. We have folks who come in a lot and they just try and play pretty softly, and it kind of works. So,
It's
um,
also hard to play it sitting down for me anyway, but.
oh, very good point. Yeah, I didn't think of that. All right, so we have, as a nation, been on, I don't even know what you would call it, the journey of the last 2 years. And my friend Reggie Harris, who plays in here with us a lot, wished me a happy new year by texting me that he was wishing me an upgrade. And I thought that was a really
Oh,
good way of
that's so
putting,
great.
yeah, the way that we've been through something in 2020, and we thought maybe 2021 was going to kind of be a place where it got normal again, and of course it like really didn't. And here we are in 2022, maybe in some ways just beginning to grasp the fact that like things just might look really different, unusual, complicated for time to come.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to know all of it, sort of the cultural awareness that rose since George Floyd's murder and the Asian hate stuff, which was brought up much more in the past 2 years, even though it was always there, just like the Black Lives Matter movement, and COVID in general. And can you just tell me sort of how you feeling in the world?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I feel very lucky, and I think my friends kind of teased me before the pandemic that I was constantly saying that's like my catchphrase basically, like, oh, we're so lucky, I'm so lucky. And I do feel so lucky to do what I do and to have the freedom to be in a place where I can sing what I want and that can be my job. That just seems to presume that ability to me seems ludicrous. So to actually have that as your reality just feels beyond lucky and fortunate. So I do definitely feel incredibly lucky. And throughout the pandemic, I think for so many of us, you know, in all kinds of different fields, our incomes were slashed less than in half, I mean, just really, really slashed. But what I was in, like, what I couldn't believe month to month was that I wasn't falling into debt. And I realized, like, oh, when you don't have airplane tickets and a gas tank to fill up and rental cars and, all of this other hotel rooms, all this other stuff that comes with touring, a drastically reduced income basically comes out to the same amount at the end of the month. And I felt so grateful that these dedicated music lovers were tipping and buying tickets for online concerts, which I know is not the same. And they were doing it because they didn't want us to have to quit. They didn't want us to have to move on to another profession. And I have to say, like, for so many years, I felt so lucky, but I also felt, I don't know how to say it exactly, but it felt like I didn't feel like other musicians were guilty of this, but I think so many of us are much harder on ourselves than we are on others. And for me, it always felt kind of unfair and presumptuous of me to think, oh, I have, and how vain of me, to think that people want to gather in pay money to gather into a room and hear me sing songs that I wrote. Like, that just seems so, I don't know, it just seems so ludicrous somehow. But then when the pandemic hit and people were buying tickets for online things, and when I saw people who never expressed a political opinion or a civil rights opinion becoming more outspoken and really standing up for the things that they believe in and defending people who were in jeopardy and defending people who were facing hate. I came to realize that we may not always be that expressive of the people and the ideals that we believe in, but when we are called onto the mat, we do. And so many people showed up. People showed up for their oppressed brothers and sisters, and people also showed up for the artists that they loved and said, these things really matter to me, and I don't want them to go away. And I found that incredibly moving, and I found it reaffirming of what I do and who I am. And I had several scary, I've had lots of scary racist attacks over the last 40 something years of my life, but at the beginning of the pandemic I did have several scary encounters just going out to buy groceries or whatever with a mask on, and I was too scared to go to the store anymore. And I had shared that with a few friends, and one of them immediately wrote me and said, hey, I have like one of those souped up Instacart accounts. Just add your card and log in with my Instacart profile so that you'll have this generic non ethnic sounding or looking name, and have your groceries delivered to your house under my name. And the amount of thoughtfulness that showed just meant so much to me. And yeah, I mean, I think that there are so many ways that we've kind of shown up for each other in that way. And gosh, there was something else in your question that now I feel like I've forgotten to address, but
That was an amazing answer, a journey unto itself. And, if you sort of roll back to where you started, the notion of artists and income, and that was one of the reasons why we jumped into this so quickly, was because all of these artists who we'd been working with, we understood we're going to be sitting home and we needed a way to be able to funnel income towards them. So we started with this. But one of the things that came really clear really fast was the two-way streetness, which is to say we weren't just showing up to support you. We were showing up because we needed the music more than ever, right? So
right. Yeah, and that was more affirming than even the income.
yeah, that's why we're all sitting there listening to you sing your own songs, is nothing to do with your ego at all, and has to do with our need to be together in community and to be singing and to be right. And so it is really amazing. And you have expressed a lot in the conversations both here and beforehand, that sort of like deeper recognition that you have as an artist, so of yourself and your role as artist. And one of the things we talked about before we opened was activism, and your own personal activism. And you said something that I thought was so supremely amazing, on how you don't really sort of like wear it on your sleeve as blatantly, because you don't want it to become performative. So that notion that, by accident, artists become performative in the things that they do because they're seen as performers, and it just becomes this loop. And I thought it was beautiful that you actually could express that and realize that.
And I just to clarify, I don't think that all artists who are very vocal about their activism or who take a stand and invite others to do that, I don't think it's all performative. And I think many people with a very large platform, especially, take a great risk in doing that, and inspire a lot of people to speak out when they might otherwise be fearful to. And I just think that as an overly self-conscious person, and somebody who has lived with depression for a long time, I'm just always afraid of my own ambitions, or of my own motivations being clouded or mixed. And so it's not that I never speak out about things, but in terms of like where I volunteer or where I give, I tend to keep that a little quieter, because A, it's a little bit more satisfying in a way, and B, I don't want people to ever it's not that I don't want people to judge me for being performative. It's more that I don't want that to start becoming my motivation.
Yeah. No, I hear that. I think that's really amazing because when you are a public personality, those lines get blurry, and so I think that's a beautifully thoughtful response. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. So before we turn back to your song, can you tell us about anything that you have coming up and your CDs or things that are available for folks to find? And we're going to put links in the chat for whatever it is you're telling us about.
Sure. I haven't actually released a solo record in something like 7 or 8 years, but I released an album with my friends. We have a band together called Nobody's Girl last year, and I'm working on a couple of collaborative records this year that I'm hoping to release probably early next year. But I will be touring quite a bit this year. I was supposed to be on tour now, but that got pushed back to June. So I'm excited about that, though. I'm going to be supporting both Chris Smither and James McMurtry on some touring this year. Two huge heroes of mine. I mean, like, I think their songwriting, their guitar playing, their lyric writing, their performance, everything that they do is it's mind blowing, and they've both been real role models for me, just in terms of the excellence of the craft. So I'm thrilled that they've asked me to join them for some shows, and yeah, that's where I hope to see some of you guys masked up and vaccinated.
Great. I love it. Thank you so much. So we have links in the chat for Betty's website, and please go ahead and check out her touring schedule. And Betty, we do hope we're going to see you out there in the universe, but also hope you can come back and bring your accordion. It's been beautiful, beautiful talking to you today, and wondering if we can have, I would say, your whole song again if you're up for it.
Sure thing. Sure thing.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. I'm really glad that we could finally make it work. And one last thing, I just want to say that I'm a big journaler person. Like, one of my side projects that's really just a labor of love. Like, I don't turn a profit on it yet. Maybe in a few years I will, but I have this planner that I make called Work, Play, Every Day. And one of the things that the goal behind it was just to have both creativity and productivity kind of married into our lives with a good dose of mindfulness and self-reflection. And because of all of the extra journaling that I've done with that planner for the past 2 years, I was really thinking a lot about how we've all been faced with this incredible uncertainty. And I think when Omicron popped up, we all had this kind of collective sigh, not sigh of relief, but like a mournful sigh, thinking, oh God, I thought we were going to enter into a year that we could plan, and now we're entering into more uncertainty. And it struck me one night as I started to journal about that there are literally just thousands and thousands and thousands of people who every year face that, at the end of the year, who think they have this great year to look forward to, and then their child is sick, or somebody gets in a terrible accident, or they get a devastating diagnosis or whatever. There are all these things, and they've just seen their next year that is supposed to be such a hopeful time. They've seen it vanish. And it just occurred to me that, like, because I hadn't faced it in such a massive way in previous Decembers, I hadn't been holding this amount of empathy for people who face that. And so I just want to say, for anyone here who, like, you're like, yeah, second verse same as the first for me, like, I've faced that so many Decembers, that I'm sorry that so many of us didn't get it before. And I hope you now get greeted with more empathy from the rest of us from now on.
Brightest day fades to night, moon passes to evening light, and rivers give their yield to the sea. Winter sends birds in flight, their silhouettes filling up the sky as far as naked eye can see. I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. is a wasted tear. No, hearts don't think that clear. It's not a fool's errand to mourn for love. Maybe you've had a hard year. Maybe you feel like nobody hears those dreams you now feel unworthy of. Well, I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. I'll come running. Don't think 'cause you can't see me I am ever beyond your reach. I'll come running if ever you need. It's easy when times get hard to lose hope and be on your guard, but you will always have someone on your side. In me, I might be beyond the frame, out of sight, but just call my name and I'll come running. I'll come running. Don't think 'cause you can't see me I am ever beyond your reach. I'll come running if ever you need.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, BettySoo. That was just beautiful. That is a really powerful song.
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
having me.
Thank you for writing it. Thank you for bringing it to us. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us today. Daily Antidote of Song hopes to see you back here again soon. Can we please all give it up for BettySoo? Thank you again so much. Hope you can flip around on the screens and see all those waving hands. And we're going to say goodbye to everybody now. Thanks so much for joining. Please be with us again tomorrow and the next day and all those days after it. We're continuing to celebrate new friends this year with new song leaders. No, new friends this week with new song leaders all week long. And then following, we're going to have some great celebrations coming up for Black History Month and for MLK Week and lots of other great stuff. So please stick around. Come back and sing with us again. Thanks, everybody out there on Facebook Live for joining us. Super glad we got to sing with you today.